So I was diagnosed at the age of 24 with a very rare incurable blood cancer.
I went to the normal GP and surprisingly he got back to me within I think 3 or 4 hours and he's like, you might have leukemia.
4.5 years ago, my youngest child, Brianna, was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. She was 3.5 years old at the time.
My priorities went from like a teenage priorities to how am I going to get through the next year? Am I going to see the next year?
It was just really hard because you looked so normal and I felt fairly normal except for a little bit of pain. It was very hard to get your mind around being told that you had this illness that was going to kill you.
The most common reason that we undertake bone marrow transplantation is for us to deliver high doses of chemotherapy or radiation therapy and to use the new bone marrow to fight cancers of the bone marrow like leukemia, lymphoma and multiple myeloma. And whenever we identify someone who either needs a transplant now or might need a transplant in the future or in the very near future, we need to identify a donor.
I signed up to go on the bone marrow donor registry when I was a teenager after my mother passed away from cancer.
I found out about the registry through a friend who had a young kid that was going through leukemia.
Really, if someone has the ability to save others and save lives, there's no reason why you shouldn't.
The reason why I joined the register was to try to help my colleague's daughter.
There's a 25% chance that a brother or sister will match within their family. There's a 75% chance that brothers or sisters will not match within their family. And so there's many people who need transplants who don't have a match within their family.
Her older sister Caitlin and older brother Chris were both tested to see if they would be a compatible match for the bone marrow, but they weren't, so they went to look for a compatible bone marrow donor for her.
The likelihood of finding a matched donor on the international registries is really about the ethnic background of the person who requires the transplant. When you say to somebody, we really think that the best treatment for you is to proceed to a bone marrow transplant. And all we now have to do is find a donor. And then you can't find a donor. That's very, very hard for patients and their families.
Without the donor and without these infusions, Brianna would not have survived.
Yeah, it gives you a hope that you haven't had, and I think living without hope is probably the hardest part about some of the blood cancers, whereas if you can live with hope, you can accomplish anything.
The hope that this bone marrow transplant is going to fix everything is what kept me going.
We spent Christmas and New Year in hospital in 2011, and a couple of days after we were given the good news that we could come home.
I had 52 packs of red blood and then this little bag of stem cells that was like this big, and that was the process that began my new life.
So there's a donor on the other side of the world that we're extremely grateful for, because we wouldn't have our daughter if she didn't donate. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me see today.
Thank you for giving my mum back.
So a great big thank you to the man that's saved my life.
I'd like to say a huge thank you to my donor from the bottom of my heart.
If all my friends and family were here, they would be all crying and wanting to hug you and say thank you from the very, very depths of our hearts.
Thank you for your gift of hope and life.
Thank you for letting me live and letting me be a father.
Donor, thank you. And to all those donors out there, you give us life. Thank you, thank you, thank you.